Hello there. Here we are at the next exciting chapter of this remarkable journey we're taking together. I do hope that you enjoyed the live event and that you'll love the augmented reality features on our new app. You're sure to get a good sense of what's in store for you on your space flight. I'm so proud of Virgin's historic emphasis on amazing design. It's been a key pillar of the brand's success, and we've been incredibly fortunate time and time again to find talented and passionate teams to deliver what's required to transform our customers' experiences. Spaceship Two's cabin is the latest gem in that story, and so it should be. After all, it is probably the most exciting design project in the world right now. I'm delighted with what the team has done and fascinated by the story behind the design decisions. And that's what you're about to hear now. So enjoy it, and at the end, I hope, like me, you're left more excited than ever before to be in that cabin, soaring towards the stars. See you up there.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Richard, for that message. Hello, our future astronauts. Thank you for staying up late, getting up early, interrupting your day, whatever it is. I hope you joined our live event a little bit earlier and you loved what you saw. And now here is part two, which is especially for you. And we have a great team here in London and also at the amazing Spaceport America in New Mexico to answer some of your questions about the cabin. So welcome. I would like to thank all of those, first of all, who've sent questions in advance. There have been quite a lot of those, so we'll take those first. But you also have the option of live chatting. Apparently it's on the Q&A icon, which should be appearing on your screen right now. So do that if you'd like to. Let us know who you are, where you are, and we'll try and get to your questions. So without further ado, a few introductions. For anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Stephen Attenborough and Virgin Galactic's Commercial Director. For those that do know me, it's great to see you again. And then over to New Mexico, first and foremost, Michael Colglazier, our new CEO. Hi, Michael, and welcome. I'm going to come back to you in a second because I know you want to say a few words. First words to our future astronauts. Beth Moses is known to most of you here, I'm sure. She, of course, is our Chief Astronaut Trainer. Beth is an aerospace engineer with over 20 years experience at NASA, and she's a professional astronaut, of course, now having flown to space on our second space flight last February. And that flight, of course, means that Beth is the first woman to make a space flight on a vehicle built for commercial service, and in doing so, she has earned her FAA astronaut wings and her ASE pin. Dave Mackay, again known to many of you very well, originally hails from Scotland and is proudly, of course, Scotland's first astronaut, having flown Beth to space in 2019. Dave had a great career in the RAF as a Harrier test pilot. He was awarded the Air Force Cross by the Queen. He has flown over 140 different aircraft and has more than 14,000 hours in the air. So we're lucky to find him on the ground today, I reckon. From the RAF, Dave joined Virgin Atlantic as a captain on A340s and Boeing 747s. And you know what I love about Dave is that he combines world-class test flying experience with a deep appreciation of customer experience and is therefore ideally positioned to serve as our chief pilot. And then George, again, known to probably all of you. George is our former CEO and now our Chief Space Officer. And before the world of Galactic, he was Chief of Staff over at NASA. George has successfully led Virgin Galactic's research, development, and test flight phase, culminating in those two historic space flights. And he's now poised to lead our future technology and experience initiatives, including high-speed point-to-point travel and orbital space experiences. So welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us. And I'm actually going to hand straight to Michael, but let me just give him a quick introduction. So Michael, as I said just now, is Virgin Galactic's new CEO. And we were delighted and excited to welcome him to the company just over a week ago. Before joining us, Michael had a long and distinguished 30-year career at Walt Disney, most latterly serving as president and managing director of Disney Parks International. So he brings just a fantastic track record of creating world-renowned, amazing customer experiences to Virgin Galactic as we make that transition from a research and development company into commercial service. So welcome, Michael, and please say hello to our future astronauts.
Thanks, Stephen. Okay. I'm here at Gaia level in New Mexico. It's a gorgeous day, and I am on day 7 of the most exciting job that I'll ever have. And I tell you, just 7 days in, I have heard so much about this community and about many of you as individuals. And I do want to tell you, I am incredibly looking forward to getting to know you as individuals and as a group and becoming a part of this fantastic community that we have built. I, as you know, have spent 30 years, a little more, at the Walt Disney Company, and pretty much all of that time was focused on creating amazing and once-in-a-lifetime moments for guests in the Walt Disney Company, and for future astronauts. I will be bringing that background here. I couldn't be more thrilled, and what a perfect day for me to join you here than with the unveiling of the spaceship cabin. Great to meet everybody.
Thanks so much, Michael, and great to have you here. So what a year it's been. You know, we regularly engage with our future astronauts. We love seeing you. We've missed you. We hope to see you again very soon, and we hope you've missed us a bit too. I wanted to make a special mention to those lucky future astronauts that received the Oculus headsets. We've created an amazing VR experience that I hope everybody will be able to see in time when you can visit us again down at Spaceport. And thank you to those that had those headsets for the wonderful footage that they sent us of enjoying the VR. So we'll be sharing that footage very soon with everybody. We've had a lot of questions already from future astronauts, and unsurprisingly, a lot of them are concerned with the cabin, but also a lot of them are concerned with how the program is going generally. So I thought we might just, take all those questions about how the program is going and put them into one pot and get George to give us a sort of a short update, really, so we can then answer the questions about the cabin in the context of and how the program is going. So George, over to you. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Stephen. And great to be with you all. We are sitting inside your spaceport. Beth is wearing your spaceware collection. Past that door over there is your spaceship. And, inside that spaceship is your cabin, which we just unveiled. It's all coming together, basically. And we have such an exciting... It's been a big year, and we've got a lot more to come. And so let me give you a quick summary of all the different things that are going on. Obviously, the big thing so far has been the relocation of all of our operational team, led by Mike Moses, down to Spaceport America in New Mexico. So we now have on the order of 200 people in New Mexico. We had to move, on the order of 100 people and their families down to New Mexico as part of that transition, and we're grateful to all those people who have sort of taken the leap with us down to New Mexico, and that's a really great thing. That means we now have a dedicated team of engineers, maintainers, support staff, engineers, all these different folks who are going to be supporting spaceflight operations down here in New Mexico. It was that team that then performed 2 glide flights over the course of the last quarter. Those glide flights of Spaceship, which were absolutely inspiring to see. I wish you could all be there with us, and hopefully at some point you will be. We were just out on the tarmac right over there, socially distanced, of course, and looking up as Dave and Forger piloted in 2 flights the spaceship down, and just really incredible to see the spaceship flying free in her home skies of New Mexico. An absolutely incredible couple of flights. The good news is that the data from those flights have revealed that we're ready to take the next step, which is to go to a powered or rocket-powered flight from New Mexico. We are now preparing the ship for that flight and preparing the pilots and the crews and everybody for that series of for that flight. So we'll see how that goes. That will just be 2 pilots in the front. Depending on how that goes in data review, we will then be in the place where we can do a limited number of flights with essentially test employees in the back seats to verify and confirm the passenger and future astronaut experience. Once we're ready to do that, and once we've completed those, we will be in a place where we can consider flying Sir Richard, which is obviously what we are really focused on. One important note on the regulatory side, which some of you have heard over the years, is we think that next powered flight, we hope, will give us the data that we need to have a cleared FAA license. Obviously, in the past, we've talked a little bit about the different steps that are required to do that. I'm not going to get into the details now, but let's just suffice it to say that we have 29 steps that we need to get through, and we're on the home stretch now. So as of a few months ago, we were up to 24 complete out of 29. On Monday at our earnings call, we'll announce an update to that. And so we're really on the home stretch there. So that's sort of what we have in front of us. It's a really exciting future. The idea of conducting a space flight from New Mexico, which will be the first human space flight from New Mexico, will be incredibly exciting because it's the sort of the portal towards flying you, which is why we're all here. And we're just really excited about that. And, you know, right behind us, we have this passageway. And I don't know if some of you will have seen it in pictures. Maybe some of you have even been here. And this is really the passageway that you're going to be going down as you go towards your space flight. And I don't want to give away all the bits of the experience, but it's going to be absolutely incredible. And we can't wait until it's you that are walking down that path on your way to the waiting spaceship. So I'll leave it at that, Stephen, and look forward to questions and comments.
Thank you, George, so much for that. Smart, disruptive design has always been at the heart of what we do at Virgin, and certainly been at the heart of what we do at Virgin Galactic. And the spaceport that you can see behind George and the other panelists there is testament to that. And it brings me on to our final panelist today, who is with me today here in London. It's my friend and colleague, Jeremy Brown. And as today is about design, it is appropriate that we have our design director, and that is the job that Jeremy does for us. A little bit of background about Jeremy. He's an architect and an interior designer, which is a good start. And he joined us just back in 2017 after an illustrious 13-year career at Virgin Atlantic. So he came with the brand very much in mind. And while he was at Atlantic, he was instrumental in building that much-loved Virgin Atlantic customer journey that many of you I know experience many times through the year. And he did that through airport and aircraft architectural and interior design. So welcome, Jeremy. We're really excited to have seen your work. I know you have been putting many hours into that cabin design, and that was all made worthwhile, I think, with what we saw today. So I actually want to ask you the first question, if that's all right. Because the cabin was designed with one thing in mind. We said that on the video. It's the view of Earth from space. That's what everybody is looking forward to. It's the pinnacle of this experience. And I'm really interested, from your perspective, how did the feedback that we got from our future astronauts, who have been so important in building our customer journey generally, how important was that, and how did it shape the cabin design brief?
Thanks, Stephen. Hi, everyone. It's great to meet you virtually. We've had incredible amounts of input from teams of experts across our organization. So our astronaut training team, our pilots, our engineers, our medical team, but of course, most importantly from you, our future astronaut community. And I guess some of the feedback that have been really critical in our designing of the cabin, firstly around kind of an intuitive but safe journey and transformative experience to space. But of course, ultimately, it's incredible focus on that amazing view that you're going to get. So to allow us to achieve that, we've got 17 windows on board. There are 12 in the main cabin. Each window is approximately twice the size of a traditional commercial aircraft. It offers an amazing 360-degree view around the cabin. But also, we recognize that, there's an incredible view that's being afforded you there. So the way that we've kind of focused that, not just through the windows and the number of windows, but we've got this beautiful soft and black window halo around each window that perfectly complements the beautiful fabrics that we have inside the cabin. But ultimately, it focuses and frames that amazing view that you have.
That's fantastic. How exciting. And I'm actually going to stay with you, Jeremy. We've got a question from Ross in New Zealand. So I think it's Happy Wednesday, Ross. And he's asked, what was the greatest technical challenge? So a simple question, but probably quite a complicated answer.
It is. Hi, Ross. That really is a very good question. Now, obviously, we've got some incredible elements on board the spaceship. But, of course, to create a beautiful cabin like this, but protect the experience that you and the rest of the future astronaut community want to achieve, we've had to struggle and challenge ourselves with reducing weight in everything that we've put on board. That's been a challenge in every single aspect of it, whether it's the seat, whether it's the cabin liner, whether it's the framing around the window halos. But we realize that every single gram or pound that's saved increases the altitude that we're able to provide for your amazing space journey.
Very cool. I'm going to go over to New Mexico now, to Spaceport America, and to you, Beth. Again, I'm sort of taking a few questions and putting them together here. And I mean, unsurprisingly, you know, we've had a lot of people asking us about the view, because that is what the cabin is designed to maximize and optimize. You, of course, are the only person here who have actually seen that view from the cabin. So it would be great if you could tell us just a little bit more about that view, remind us of how great it was. But I think in particular, people are very interested to know that how the cabin has been designed specifically to make the most of that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the question. And first of all, let me say hello to all the future astronauts. It is wonderful to be with you, at least this way now. I've actually measured most of you for your seats, and I think of that, you know, every time we talk about this lovely cabin. But to get to the view, it was amazing, and I have to give full credit to Dave and Such, the pilots on VFO1, who flew straight and true and afforded me the opportunity to unbuckle, as you will do, and get out of my seat and float to the cabin windows and see that view. It is amazing. You are going to love it. Probably the most amazing moment of view is when the craft is at its highest point apogee and coasts to a stop. I was out of my seat, floating free at a window, completely still, and able to see space and the Earth. Space is very dark, very black, very sort of endless. And because you've coasted to a complete stop, it feels very timeless. It will stick with you forever. And then the Earth below is just the most amazing thing. It is super bright, unlike anything you've seen, unlike any video, you know, we've even put out. Pictures don't do the Earth justice in any way. And the day that we flew, it had been snowing. You can see for 1,000 miles, 1,600 kilometers, I think, for those of you in other countries. And there was snow on the mountaintops all below us, and it just glistened like diamonds. It was beautiful. Here in New Mexico, we're fortunate to fly right over White Sands, which I think is going to be Earth's crown jewel, bright and shining and white. It's just an amazing thing. You're all going to love it. I can't wait until you can see it. You won't miss it, and the cabin is perfectly designed for it. There are frames around each window that you can very easily go between. They fit well in your hand. The seats recline out of the way of the windows for the space portion of your experience. And the cabin itself is sort of everywhere you want it to be and nowhere you don't want it to be, so that you can really just get to wherever you'd like to be or with whoever you'd like to be with to enjoy the view of Earth. It's beautiful. I cannot wait until you all see it. It's just going to be amazing.
Thank you, Beth. Love hearing you talk about it. That's great. You know, I think one of the smartest things we ever did with hindsight as a company, whether by accident or design, was actually to, you know, to get this astronaut community together at a very early stage, because just having you on board, you know, part of the family from day one, has just helped us to build a better product, a better experience, a better journey. And when we asked you right at the start what you wanted from your space flight, even before we had built the spaceship, you said you wanted a great rocket ride, you wanted an out-of-seat zero gravity, you wanted amazing views of the Earth, you wanted your astronaut wings, and number 5, you absolutely wanted a photographic record and a video record to share with your loved ones, probably for the rest of your lives. And that was really good information, because it would have been terrible if we'd forgotten to do that. But I was relieved to note, actually, Jeremy, today when we were looking around the cabin, that there do appear to be some cameras on board. So do you want to talk about that, which must have been a big challenge, actually, as well?
Absolutely, yeah. It really is a challenge. But first and foremost, as Stephen has just said, you know, we know that recording your experience of that amazing weightlessness and journey to space, just as Beth's described there, is a real memento that we need to record properly for you. So we've absolutely got that covered. We've talked about the 17 windows on board in the view. We've also got 16 cameras on board, very, very high quality, high resolution. We've spent a lot of challenging hours understanding the specification of those cameras, but ultimately it's to record every single single moment that you're going to enjoy in space, and in fact on that entire journey and the entire experience while you're in New Mexico. The beauty around that is that it allows you the freedom to leave your mobile devices behind, because we know that concentrating on that incredible view and that weightlessness is something that you really need to savor. So to ensure that we've got the cameras on board safely and securely and pointed perfectly at you, we've secreted them behind these beautiful little shrouds within the window halos. We position them perfectly to get that perfect selfie with Earth, of course. At the end of your experience, we know that, again, the pride that you're going to have in this experience, we're going to prepare and produce a beautiful, unique and individual presentation for you, so that you've got the keepsakes of the videos and the photographs that we've been taking of you on board.
And I know we're running through processes to make sure that we get a couple of those key selfie shots off the spaceship as quickly as possible when we land for those all-important first astronaut social posts.
That's right.
Cool. Thank you, Jeremy. Okay, we're going to go back to Spaceport America, and this one is for you, Dave, and it's from Deborah in Houston. Hi, Deborah. Thank you for joining us. So how does the transition from zero-G to the re-entry Gs compare to a zero-G flight, which I know many of you have taken? Is this transition fairly gradual? And what window of time is there to get back to the seat and buckle in before re-entry really starts?
Great question, Deborah. Thanks. And from the nature of that question, I'm guessing that you've probably done a zero-G flight yourself. If you haven't, I'd recommend it. It's a lot of fun. If you have done it, you'll know that as the G comes on, as you pull out of the dive from that zero-G parabola, it comes on pretty quickly. So to give you a countdown, you tend to fall down to the floor pretty quickly. At least I did when I did it. But it's not like that in spaceship. Our own set of G, our own set of re-entry G is very gradual. We have an instrument on the flight deck which is pinned on 0.0 G for several minutes, and then it gradually, as we come back down towards the Earth's surface, it will go from 0.0 to 0.1, 0.2, 0.3. So very gentle onset of re-entry G. And what that means is if you're floating around in the cabin, if you're up on the upper windows there, which is a great place to be inside the cabin, you will gently float down towards your seat. And as Beth mentioned earlier on, the seat is reclined. That maximizes the cabin volume for your enjoyment in the coast phase, in the space element of the flight. And it's just like an open hand. You float down gently in towards your seat. It's designed to caress you into it and get you in the right position, and the seat itself and the straps are designed to help you get back in there and secure yourself for the re-entry G. So it's a very gentle transition into re-entry.
That's great. Thank you, Dave. And I know that the seats that we were looking at earlier on have been specifically designed, as has much of the architecture in the cabin, really just to aid you, getting back in nice and gently, buckle up, and in plenty of time. So I'm going to stay with seats, actually, Jeremy, and another one for you. So David, hi, from the UK, asks how the seats cater for the varying sizes of each astronaut. I know that was something that was mentioned on the video, but maybe you can go into a little bit more detail.
Sure. Hi, Dave. As we already recognise, we know you and our future astronaut community incredibly well. So with that, we know that not only have you been measured for your spacesuit, but likewise we also understand the seat sizing that you'll require as well when you do arrive in New Mexico. So we've got a suite of parts on the seat itself to allow us to accommodate every one of our customers just perfectly. Dave and Beth have already talked about the experience, and of course the seat is a really important part of that. The seat itself is dynamic because of course your flight's dynamic, but the opportunity that we have then to fine-tune that seat specifically for you if we need to is also a relatively quick and easy process that Beth will take you through during your training in New Mexico as well. The fact that it is dynamic and it actually does recline supports you on those journeys in the high G elements of the flight, so both the rocket boost up to space, but as Dave's just been describing, your journey home safely as well. But as it reclines in zero G, it allows you a load more space within the cabin to be able to freely enjoy while you're in zero G.
Fantastic. Those were questions that were pre-submitted. So thank you to all of those people for being well organized and sending them to us in advance. But we're now actually going to take some live chats. So the first one that I have in front of me here is for Beth in New Mexico. And it's from Uri in the UK. Hi, Uri. I hope you're doing well. What personal items can be brought into the cabin? I think that's best for you, Beth, yeah?
Sure, I'll take that one. Hello, Uri in the UK. It's a great question. You can bring a small assortment of personal items, things that are important to you, souvenirs. We will take a look and make sure there's nothing sharp or unsafe for others in the cabin. Your Under Armour spacewear actually has a number of pockets that are designed specifically for that, including a sort of very special sentimental pocket very close to your heart, and some cargo pockets. And you're free to enjoy those, to bring anything safe with you that you'd like. And then we're also talking about some ability to stow a few things for you personally if they don't fit in your pockets. We haven't sorted that out quite yet, but you can bring things that are important to you. The one thing that I will ask that you leave behind is your own camera or your own phone. As you've heard today, there are 16 cameras in the cabin. We want you to savor space and enjoy it, and we will absolutely capture every image for you that you might want afterwards. In fact, all throughout your training, we will be doing that on the ground so that you learn exactly where those cameras are and get a whole suite of ground photos so that you're comfortable when you fly, that you don't need the encumbrance of your own camera.
Great, thank you, Beth. Right, I have another question flashing up on the screen from Eve in France. Hi, Eve. And I think this would best be answered by Dave. Actually, it's an interesting one because one of the things I've always loved about the spaceship interior design is that as an astronaut in the back, you can see out of the front windows as well as out of the side windows. And I think that's going to be actually pretty important. But it's a good question that's come up now from Eve, which is about communication with the pilots, which is firstly, what communications will there be between astronauts and pilots? Particularly because it seems that there is little or no barrier between the cabin and the cockpit. Dave, can you comment on that one?
Sure. Yes, Eve. Hi. You will have communications with the flight crew at all times. We'll be able to talk to you. You'll be able to talk to us. Even when you're out of your seat and unstrapped, you'll be wearing a little headset, a headpiece, which will be very light, very discreet, and won't impede your vision in any way at all. We do have a barrier to prevent you entering the cockpit. It does not prevent you seeing out of the cockpit windows. The cockpit windows are fantastic. There's a little anecdote or a little story in aviation that the pilots normally have the best view in the house because they've got all those windows up front. That is not the case for us in Spaceship Two. I was quite jealous of Beth on that last powered flight where she had a huge number of very big windows back there. So the view from the cabin is absolutely superb. But if you so wish, you can look out the front windows as well and you can see us. The barrier is really there designed to stop you getting into the cockpit, to stop people ending up in the pilot's laps. We don't want that to happen. You probably don't want that to happen either. So the barrier will prevent that happening, but it will not prevent you seeing that fantastic view out the front.
Great. Thanks, Dave. And actually, there's a sort of related question here from Judy, who is somewhere in the US today. So it actually relates to floating in the cabin, which is another thing you haven't been allowed to do, Dave. So this is probably another one for Beth. So is it likely that all astronauts, I should say, be floating in the cabin at the same time, or we're going to have a schedule? What's the plan there, Beth?
Oh, that's a great question. Everyone unstraps at the same time if you choose to. If you prefer to stay in your seat for a little while, you can, but I would recommend that you unstrap right away and go to your favorite window. You have one right next to your seat and one right above you. There's actually plenty of space. In terms of habitable volume, it's a very large cabin, and there are 12 windows in the cabin and 5 up front that Dave just mentioned. And if you think three-dimensionally, once you're weightless, the area underneath the cantilevered seats is available to you, and you can jungle gym along that. You can Spider-Man across the wall, across the ceiling. You can use every window frame. You can ladder along the seats. It's really spacious. And just to calibrate it very briefly, that's not just math, that's firsthand experience. the cabin that I flew in was a hybrid cabin. It wasn't yet outfitted for you, but there were research payloads along with me in the cabin that occupied the same volume that other astronauts in the cabin would. So I've experienced the cabin, and it is much larger than you might imagine because you're up 3D, floating and weightless. It's great. You'll be able to do anything you like and go anywhere you like.
Amazing. We're dotting around the world now, so down to El Salvador and from Francisco. And this is another interesting one. And I think probably for you, first of all, Beth, and then I might also get Jeremy to comment a little bit because I think it relates to some of the cabin design features. So the question's about headgear for flight. Will there be any? Do we need any?
So that's another great question, and actually one of the things we tested. So the best way to think of it is that the ship is your helmet. We have a soft cabin liner that you probably saw in the VR, and you may have seen on images of Dave and Suchi's flight. It's soft, and even as you get out of your seat, it provides just a little bit of protection should you need it. So the only thing that you'll have on your head are earbuds for the communication system, and then anything you choose. If you'd like to, put your hair up or have your hair free, it's your choice. But really, the thing that I think you'll be most happy with on your head are the earpieces, because they connect you to the pilots in the cockpit and the rest of the astronauts in your cabin, so that it's a shared human experience.
Jeremy, do you want to add anything to that and how you thought about sort of softness and safety as you were designing the cabin?
Absolutely, yes. Beth's kind of described that rather beautifully, the fact that the cabin itself is your helmet or something protective there. But, right at the core of everything that we've considered is the safety aspect of your journey, but importantly for that to be really, really intuitive for you. So Beth mentioned the soft cabin liner. We've got soft padding around the window halos. We've also added discrete padding, but important padding around all of the seats as well. So all of these aspects allow you to maneuver very, very safely around the cabin. Beth just also described that very well. But effectively, everything has the safety and the intuitive nature of that designed into it. So you effectively can then just worry about that incredible view and the incredible experience of weightlessness.
Awesome. Okay. Now, this is an interesting question. I think Dave, we better give this one to you because it does relate to the views out of the front windows, probably out of the pilot's windows. So it's from Stephen in the US. I only know one Stephen in the US who's a future astronaut, so hi there. Can you see the stars in the blackness of space?
So the brief answer is no. You've got to remember, we're flying in daytime, and so the sun is up there, and the sun, when you're outside the atmosphere in space, the sun is incredibly bright. It's incredibly bright when you're standing on the surface of the Earth, but of course when you're up in space, you don't have the protection of the Earth's atmosphere, the moisture and the dust particles that are in the atmosphere, so the sun is really, really bright. And but what you do see is this incredible blackness. And I know that everybody that's been up there talks about that. It sounds a little bit odd, but it's the deepest black that you can possibly imagine. Is like a deep matte black. So it's very, very impressive. And that is in contrast to the incredible brightness of the Earth's surface, because now you're looking down at the Earth's surface and it's backlit with the sun behind you, and that sunlight is penetrating directly vertically down through the atmosphere. So again, you see the surface of the Earth lit in a way that you never normally see from the Earth's surface itself. And the human eye, I always say this, that the human eye is an incredible thing. Cameras are wonderful, and I'm aware that I'm talking in front of a bunch of media folk who are very proud of their cameras, but they do not catch the view in the same way as the human eye does, to my belief. So the human eye picks up this amazing contrast between the deep blackness of space and the very brightness of the Earth's surface, and yet it's still able, and there's an aircraft taxiing in just behind me if you can hear that, but you're still able to also make out the incredible beauty of the Earth's atmosphere, and it's very complex. On the day that we flew, I saw a beautiful band of cyan blue with some very thin layers above and below that. So the view is absolutely extraordinary. You may not be able to see the stars, but the view itself is just something which will stay with you for the rest of your lives.
And if I could add, on the day we flew, Such noticed the moon. You can definitely see the moon.
We did, yes. Yeah. As we flipped over, the moon was there in the sky, way up north, and it was just it was wonderful.
Yeah, I remember seeing those pictures. They were absolutely awesome. This has been great, but unfortunately, we apparently only have time for one more question. Thank you so much for sending them in, though. They've been a terrific variety, and a really interesting one that I have to say I don't know the answer to, but hopefully Jeremy does. This is from Jeff in California. So he's saying, Jeremy, that he didn't see a footrest or anything to push against during boost. It may be for Beth as well. Did he just miss that, or any comments?
A really good question, and I know that Beth will support me here as well with an answer, but you didn't miss it, no, there isn't a footrest there. We've already described the perfect sized seat for you. We know you very well, so you're going to be sized in the seat and perfectly located just for those high intensity moments of boost. We've talked about the seat as well, so during boost, the seat will effectively be upright, but that of course is the perfect angle for you during that phase, and then reclined as you come back through space as well. But I know, perhaps over to you, Beth, just talking a little bit more about how you're going to train for these parts of the flight as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Jeremy, and thanks for the question. Yeah, so I think you're probably referring to the fact that when you visit the centrifuge, there is a footrest in the centrifuge. For Spaceship 2, almost all calf lengths can put their feet squarely on the floor. We have different height seat cushions to enable that. And should you have calves that are just a little shorter than our shortest staff member, we'll build a bumper on the footrest so that you can put your feet as you'd like to have them for boost, just as you did in the centrifuge. So you didn't miss it. Most people don't need it. The floor height and cushion height are optimized for nearly all of you. And if anybody comes in and needs a little bumper on the floor, we're happy to provide that.
Great. Well, I learned something this afternoon, which is terrific. Thank you so much. We do have to wrap up now, I'm afraid. So I'm going to do that. So the first thing I wanted to do is to thank our future astronauts for joining us today. As I say, I know you have busy lives, and I hope most of you saw the YouTube video. If you didn't, it's still there. So go and have a look at it, the live event that we did earlier on. I'd like to thank our panelists, of course. So thank you, Michael, George. We'll come back to you in a second. Beth, Dave, and Jeremy. And of course, thank our future astronauts. But again, I'll come back to that in a second. I think what I'd like to do, we heard from Michael sort of saying hello, and from George giving a quick program update. I think we have very little time, but it would be good to hear from both of you again, if you don't mind. George, maybe just sort of saying a little bit about what your new role is. You know, what are the technologies you're going to be focusing on, and how you're expecting that to pan out in the next few months. And then, Michael, it would be great to hear from you as to what you're excited about. Again, within the sort of the next 6 to 12 months that we expect to happen here at Virgin Galactic. So maybe George first.
Hi, Stephen. Sure, thanks. Yeah, so I'll be working on a lot of the future stuff. We'll be talking about orbital space flight and point-to-point transportation, all kinds of cool stuff. And we've already had some interesting conversations with some of you out there. And of course, Loretta and I are super eager to fly on board Unity as quickly as we can. It's going to be great, and all that's great. I just wanted to say one thing. This is obviously a really weird year. And, there's challenges in terms of the pandemic. There's challenges in terms of social issues, and there's all kinds of other stuff going on. And I just wanted to send out sort of a shout out to the whole Spacefarer community and the whole, future astronaut community, everybody who's going to be going into space with us. We are part of a community, and it is one of the most amazing communities that we've been a part of, and we care for each other. We are thinking of you. We wish that we were, here with you in person, or that you were here in person with us. We will find that, time soon enough, and when we will all gather together, and we're going to be watching space flights up. But, one of the great things about space is that it does represent the best of humanity and, a really positive future. And I hope that, that is some small solace to you as we go through this strange year, that you're part of a community that is really represents the best of humanity. And I thank you for being a part of it. So that's it for me. Over to you.
you know, I could not be more thrilled and excited to be here in this role, as I'm sure you'd imagine. But I'm also so incredibly proud to be joining an organization that has the talent that I've seen and that has the vision that this organization has. I spent my first week both at the spaceship company in Mojave, speaking with the engineers and the technicians who are crafting the spaceships for you. Incredibly impressive people and incredibly excited to see what they're bringing forward to us. And then being out here at Spaceport America, the purposefulness, the focus on safety, the diligence, but also just the warmth and the fun of the people that are here have made me feel welcome instantly. And I know are going to have you feel instantly at home and welcome when you get here. I am listening and learning. That's my first priority, as you would expect. And you should know that everything I'm seeing gives me great confidence in what we're bringing together for you. But I'm also looking forward to being able to add and anything I can to amplify and ensure that your experience is going to be even more amazing than what you may have dreamt about so far. So super excited to meet you in person. Thanks for being with us here today. Couldn't be more pleased to be here with you.
Thank you, Michael. And again, welcome from all of us and the Future Astronaut community. I just have one last thing. It's a little bit off script, but I know all of you will have seen the note from George that he sent about his new role and the excitement around Michael's start. And actually, 2 or 3 of you just reached out to me and said, could we use this opportunity to thank George on behalf of the Future Astronaut community for all he's done in the last 10 years as our first CEO. And so the message I've been asked to give to you, George, is that is just huge thanks for taking us to 3 places. The first is New Mexico, the second is Wall Street, and the third is space. So thank you on behalf of the Future Astronaut community. That's it. We've got to go, I'm afraid. We really do hope that we can see you in person next time. We're missing our gatherings and our events, which are renowned, in this community. They're very important. So we'll be back to them as soon as the good times roll again. In the meantime, please take care, download the app, and we'll see you soon. Thanks again. Bye-bye.